Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean. Today, I have an awesome special effects makeup artist here with me, Brian Spears. This guy is really good. I was reading Fangoria magazine and I seen his name on special effects. I went down the rabbit hole and bam, we are here. How cool, man. Brian, tell us where you're from, man, and what do you do?
I'm a makeup artist. I'm in the New York area. I live in Westchester, New York, but I do a lot of work in New York and New Jersey, mainly tri-state area.
Very nice. And how long have you been doing the special effects
Uh,
makeup stuff?
I mean, probably since the late '90s. Probably the first movie that I did probably came out right around. We started filming 2001, but I had done a bunch of shorts and small things. You know, more of a hobbyist, I guess you would say, at the beginning back then. But yeah, I mean, I've wanted to be like a makeup artist, I guess, special effects makeup artist since I was a little kid. You mentioned Fangoria magazine. I'm a huge fan, and you know that magazine was like my Bible as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the background here, man.
Yeah.
You're representing hard. I love it. Um, that's kind of a unique thing to get into. It's a little bit easier today to get into than it would have been in the late 90s, right? As far as accessibility to products and things.
Again, I just read magazines. We didn't have the internet. So yeah, and I
Right.
mean, I live an hour from the New York City, but that world seems a whole other, like it was too big. Didn't seem possible. And while it was a job, like I saw all these dudes making a living, guys I admired, makeup artists, shop guys, crew guys, all over, like in those pages of that Fangoria.
Mhm.
It didn't seem impossible, but I did go to school I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh at the time when there was an art institute. Um, and I went because of special effects makeup. Like it was something I wanted to do. I grew up not very far from the legendary makeup artist Dick Smith, but even
Mhm.
approaching him seemed such like a far away thing. I mean, I'm a, you know, middle class, lower middle class, blue collar family, throughout my whole life. So that's Hollywood. You know what I mean? I never thought they did that here in my own backyard.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, same thing. When I got into filmmaking, born and raised in Florida, I was just like, how is this going to happen? I know nobody in Hollywood. I don't, it wasn't, now it's a little bit better, but back then it was hard to find people that wanted to act, that were putting it out there like, hey, I'm an actor. And
Also,
I just,
listen, I mean, I read more than I did. I mean,
yeah,
I probably, like I said, I very much started, I think, in this world like it was a hobby, it was an interest. I knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't know how or like what the steps were. And I was scared, intimidated by other artwork I had seen. Like, am I as good as this? Can I go this far? Like, so it was all that kind of stuff. I mean, just,
yeah. Didn't have YouTube where you could just
well,
pop on
yeah,
there.
like you didn't know like friends down the street, like we're into the same thing even. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a smaller world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when did you really get like that first opportunity to put your stamp on something and be like, yo, we got Brian on these effects here, man. Something that got seen a little bit.
Um, I mean, I had done a bunch of independent horror movies. I mean, we'd done a movie. We worked with this company called Media Blasters. We had done a movie called Flesh for the Beast, Shadow Dead Riot. We had still been doing some student films at the time. We did a film called at the time, I think it was Season of the Darkness. But it wasn't until I started working with Larry Fezzidan's Glass Eye Pix, and I did a movie called I Sell the Dead. And that just like kind of the people behind the scenes, the people in front of the cameras, it was just all different. It was kind of the whole reason I wanted to do this. Like in the beginning, it's a struggle, and if you're making your own films, you never have
Yeah.
enough time, you never have enough money, you never have enough of anything except for people willing to do it with you and go through the whole experience. I mean, it's summer camp. I mean, we have great jobs. I can't say that I don't have at times it's a job. There's deadlines. There's other people I have to answer to. It's a huge job, but it is like you're a carny in a carnival. And there's something really, really fun about that. But it was I Sell the Dead was probably like, whoa, this is totally different.
Whenever you finally get those opportunities to show your work, it's the most rewarding thing. And for a makeup effects artist, there's tons of them out there, but they're not all getting the opportunity to put their name on a horror film. Something that's, horror films are so much work, man. They're easier to produce in some cases than anything else you could do. I think that's why a lot of people gravitate to the horror genre. But no matter what you're making a feature. It's a lot of work. And when it comes to a special effects artist, Jesus Christ, man, you got your work cut out for you.
I mean, again, none of these are my ideas. So I mean, there's a lot of things that checks and balances it goes through, a lot of things that it trickles down from. But yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you. Yeah, I love my job and I love what I get to do. And I definitely feel really cool like when we get to put a stamp on something.
Yeah. Now, those monsters you have in the background there, are those all your creations?
Oh, yeah. This is just, I have a house full of this stuff. It's just Halloween decorations at this point. Everything I kind of build might have been built for a movie at first or are pieces from movies. And when I'm in my downtime, I'll just make stuff.
Awesome. So yeah, I can appreciate it, man. I own a haunted house attraction and I'm loving what I see there.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'll do is like set up my, I have like the R-rated Halloween decoration yard.
Nice.
It goes up and it's pretty cool.
Favorite kind. Talk to us about the movie Blackout and what was your role in that?
Again, myself and my partner Pete Gerner, who did we did a bunch of Glass Eye Pix movies. I just, for years since I Sell the Dead, so that's, I know it's probably some 15 years that I've known like Larry Fezzen, the director of Blackout, and throughout the history of knowing him as a producer, as an actor, and then eventually working on a couple of his projects, like where he's the director, we got to know each other, and I've heard about this story. I mean, it's a werewolf movie or a Wolfman movie, I guess we would say. And it's a very Larry Fezzen movie. I mean, I've seen the movie a couple times now. I love it. It's some may say it's elevated horror. I do say it's literally Larry. Like you're watching a movie made by a guy that cares about what he's putting on the screen. But I mean, yeah, we got to make a Wolfman. It was a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun, a lot of hard work. Again, with the smaller the movie, your turnaround time and you're like, hey, we talked a lot about this movie for years. So that was kind of thing. We had a rolling dialogue throughout the years and, hey, what if we did this? What if, Larry is very much a fan of Werewolf by Night. We're always very much into kind of going back to, while we all love American Werewolf in London, we love The Howling. I think that movie is amazing.
I love it too.
It's dog soldiers, these big werewolves. This movie didn't really call for that, and we really wanted that smaller approach back to like literally the Lon Chaney Wolfman and that kind of stuff. So that was our inspiration there, and we just ran with it. I mean, we had an incredible actor named Alex Hurt that played the werewolf, the son of John Hurt. And so like it was like very, very, very cool. I'm sorry, William Hurt, not John Hurt. Jesus. But so it just it came up. I've known Larry for years, so we were really pushing hard to get the movie made and have fun on it. And it was a total fun to get to do an old school werewolf.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask, is that something that you always, obviously you guys talked about it for years, but is that something personally that you always kind of wanted to do or hope to do in the future?
I mean, again, sure. I mean, I can't say that, I always want to.
Like, did it ever cross your mind? You said, man, I hope I get to put my stamp on a
vampire zombies. I mean, it's part of our job. So yeah, you want to have those check marks off. I guess the one thing I want to do more is, help an actor make a character. So like it was really cool to have some, people care about when they put that makeup on, and it helps them get into their performance. So that's like really cool. And to do that kind of stuff, and to have, I don't, again, when you're working a smaller budget, you might have to give up that lavish, or that, how can we get this huge sequence or this big payoff? I just want to do a good job.
Right.
And be consistent in what we can pull off and try to do the best job there. So, I mean, it was, the shooting schedule is tight, because every time you see Alex, like if he's a werewolf, he probably shot four other scenes right before we put him into makeup and then shoot at night, because they had a lot to get done in this time frame. When you shoot these smaller movies, a lot of scheduling of actors, a lot of scheduling of the locations that we shot at. So it's all that like run and gun type of atmosphere. So the thing was, we just never wanted to hinder production. And so we had to come up with a streamlined way of doing things. And, could we have done more? Sure. Did we have time to do more? Probably not. Would I change things? For sure. But, you live with it. And I'm just really, really happy we got the opportunity to do it.
Right. I love that run and gun atmosphere, man. There's something about chaos that really just
it's not even like run and gun, but it was always organized chaos. Like everything was planned. But we just, I have a whole other job now, like my whole other world. I'm in the union world where you have 100 people like on set. So there's never an issue, there's everybody's there. Like, but the smaller that movie, it's like you're chasing time more than anything, because that day is going to end, and you have to get these shots in before that sun comes up, or before the night comes, So there was very much, but it's I like it because there's no downtime. On the bigger the project, there is more, there's 7 cameras, you got to light the entire village. It's one of those things where you really have to be concise and really work, and you work your ass off when you're doing like the smaller the movie. Like I love it because there's no rest.
Yeah, no, I love it. I would never do it any other way. I was going to ask, do you prefer indie horror over commercialized horror? In other words, 400K budgets compared to like 40 million.
Personal viewing, probably. Working on, I can't deny a paycheck. So right. I would do an indie movie all the time. It's just, they're tough. I still do. I have friends that think I'm nuts because I still do a couple a year. Is it cushier on the high? I make more money. I have,
right.
The other ones I really got to work. I really like to work. And I like the atmosphere of a smaller project, where you're all working together. There's people on these, bigger projects. I don't know everyone on set. And, it's fine. It's job, but like that whole other side of the room, I have no idea who they are. But on the smaller movie, it's more of a community.
Yeah, with a lot less cooks in the kitchen, man, everybody can communicate better.
Yeah.
And it's better atmosphere for sure. What kind of movie?
I'm grateful for I got to work on huge stuff too. So like just to watch that stuff and to watch how other people, guys that I work for, the guys that I've been blessed to be on with incredible directors. So it's like really, really cool. So it's a whole other thing. It's just, yes, I'm a smaller cog in the system. Whereas, the bigger the movie, I get, we get to have more fun.
Right. Absolutely. What kind of movie would you like to do special effects makeup for? Is there a certain movie that since you've been doing this, or even just liking horror?
It's never happened, but if Martin Scorsese made a zombie movie, I would love that. But it's not, but I don't, when I was younger, I was much more of a horror fan. Huge, but I grew up in that whole 80s video era boom where, a lot of things went direct to video. It was like, I was exploring everything. I love a good, crime movie. I love a good thriller. I'm not as, I don't love every horror film that comes out as of late. I like the zanier, I'm an Evil Dead 2 fan. I'm a weirdo that thinks Chainsaw 2 is better than any Chainsaw movie ever made. I think that's the greatest Chainsaw movie. I love it better than the first one.
Ain't nothing
Uh,
wrong with that at all.
so
I
there's that sort of like the zaniness when I don't know if it was, the cocaine fueled 80s or something like that, but it was just a little more ballsy, a little more cheese sometimes. So
love cheese, man. Cheese is
um I have issues with some of the movies made today, but also I'm an old guy now, so it's like everything's a remake, everything is I have friends that want to make movies and that could tell good stories, so it is tough to go and see a movie that I loved on VHS now be a movie now that just comes out for a week, does a ton of money, and then kind of fades away. Like you forget you see the movie. Like it's hard for me to say, like, hey, what did you just watch this week? Well, I did watch tons of movies this week. I don't remember any of them anymore because that's the thing. Maybe there's too many, but yeah. So I'm always going to go for the smaller movie. I'm going to root for the underdog. How's that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, in the horror genre, man, they're shoveling them out. These independent horror films, it's crazy. I mean, no matter what streaming platform you go on every week, there's just tons of new stuff on there, and you look at the dates on them, and it's like 2021, 2022, 2023, and all these films. I never heard any press about them. I never seen anybody promoting them. It's just like in music they call it shovelware, where you just kind of you just get it out there and hope that it makes money. I'm guessing that's kind of what's kind of happened because there's
I think
tons of
it's
stuff
also
out.
there's a need for content on every streaming service now. So we'll see how all that plays out in the future. But I mean, that's the thing. And again, all that's above my, I just want to work and watch stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so and again, I guess I'm old. So like, I mean, I'm not old, but I'm old enough where I don't care about the trends. I'm just going to watch what I like. I'm a bitter old man on my front porch telling me, the kids' movies suck now.
Well, speaking of movies that you did like, what 3 horror movies have really inspired you, maybe possibly inspired your career, or that just have stuck with you throughout your life?
All right.
Obviously, Texas Chainsaw too.
Well, I mean, I love that movie, but I mean, of course, The Thing, Evil Dead 2, I think is like a near perfect film. So like makeup wise, those two are huge up there. I loved, and I still love it, like Romero's Dawn of the Dead. I like hate Day of the Dead, but I'm a huge fan of Dawn of the Dead. I'm a huge fan of Reanimator. So that's kind of, but then again, I have I think Dead Heat is a great movie too. With,
Right.
Joe Piscopo. I think that movie, I could watch that every day. But again, I think some of that is, it's that era of movies like where I'll just go into my basement or the shop at work and we'll just throw that sort of era, like, 84 to, 90, every one of those movies on in the background. So I've lived with them forever.
It's to the point, and I prefer those movies too. I love them. I actually got one here. I was going to ask you if you ever heard of this in
Oh
Seminole.
yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I might have seen that in college. Yeah,
dude, I missed that 80s stuff too. But I will say that if nowadays what we're doing, what a lot of people are doing, and I'm trying to do it more in my films, is make things feel like they're from the 80s, and it's kind of hard. It's still hard to do, but a lot of people are taking that approach because they realize that demand there. And now some of this younger generation, man, they're obsessed with the 80s too. You're seeing it with video games, with music, movies. So does anybody ever approach you like that? Like, hey, we want to do an 80s style, slash, or is it
I
always
get
like that?
approached. I get approached like that a lot. Sometimes it's paid off, and sometimes it doesn't. I will say this: sometimes it's frustrating being on set when we're working on the movie, and guys that are gonna get the bigger payoff than I am are like already talking about the sequel and how this is. We're not even done with the first one, and So yeah, listen, it's hard. Do I have favorites movies that I worked on? Sure. Do I have movies that I'm like, yeah, all right, I did it. I'm proud of everything I put on a screen, but some of those movies, I do find that a lot of people always try to emulate something rather than make their own movie. So it's like you you need to steal that style, but you need to make your own style. So yeah, I mean, I'm on every type of set. Like, listen, I don't. Here's the beauty of being a makeup artist. I don't write any of this stuff. I don't direct any of this stuff. I get to have fun. I want to make everything I do as cool and as cohesive to the movie, and then let the movie be where it is. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you get you work on a movie and you had a horrible time and the movie is great. You know what I mean? Like, so it's
Right.
it's it's whatever it is. I mean, I just think we need to make the sad part is we need more people thinking more original stuff. And that the problem is no one buys original stuff anymore. That's the hard part. Like the
Right.
smaller the movie, it might be so original. It's harder to get it out there now. Because I mean, I guess I was lucky for a couple of years there. I did a lot of movies, and I wasn't union or anything like that. But I worked really steadily because there was that whole DVD market.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably on that. I rode that all the way until it ended. And that was like a lot of fun because, I mean, there's still physical media. I mean, one of those weirdos that still buys all my physical media. And I buy every movie I have to make sure I can get it on I try to get, a copy or two of it. So it's just, that's the thing. Like there was more of a, you could peruse and you could see and you could stumble across something and be like, wow, this is my type of thing. So we'll see how all that again plays out. But, I think there's a lot of, I've definitely worked on movies where I was like, all right, guys, stop worrying about what the style is or what you're ripping off and just make your movie. Like, so that can get in the way of sometimes. That can definitely get in the way of some things.
I know it's easier said than done, but knowing special effects and now working on all these movies, has there ever been a moment where you're like, fuck it, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write my own and I'm going to do the special effects for
it? I work on movie sets. So yes, I have the greatest script never written, and it's my idea. Yes, of course. I mean, but no, I don't ever want to be a director. No, I don't want to do any of sure. If I actually sat down, maybe I'd write this, but I haven't in 20 years. So I'm probably not gonna, so that's the thing. Yeah. I really love what I get to do. And because I'm sort of not, even the TV shows I do, I'm not on every day. So we can do a couple different TV shows at a time. Like it's always a different job. It's always a different thing. Like, so it's very, very, diverse.
What's it been like? You said that you're a union now. Was that a major transition in your career?
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, no one knows who I am, so it doesn't matter. It just where it made a difference was paychecks and all the adult stuff and all that. Like the older I got, the more things I have to make sure I can cover. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like it was a huge difference. Like, I mean, there used to be a time where, I would have to almost do a 6 degrees of, Kevin Bacon to get to how to explain the movie I just worked on, who's in it, now I can say projects that everyone, knows. So that's nice, especially when you have family that aren't going to watch the horror stuff that you did. You know what I mean? You always have one of the, an aunt and uncle that aren't into horror movies, but they're happy. They want to know everything. And I love that. But so that's the thing. Yes, it's totally different. It's just a little bit more work. It's a little steady work. So that's the thing. And it's,
but you're still allowed to work on indie horrors that are.
Yeah, I mean, I still do it. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, we did have a strike this year and I was able to fit like 2 movies that I never would have been able to do. That they got waivers. So that there would have probably been movies that I would have tried to build for and send friends and, set it up. But I never would have been able to go because I was on, a TV show at the time. So that allowed me to do that, which I really, really loved. And it kept me, especially in a time where, nothing was going on. I was able to make something when a lot of people were struggling. So, I mean, I really felt grateful for that. But so, yeah, I'm also busy enough where I turn down quite a bit of stuff now because sure, it might be more creative
Mhm.
for me personally, but I got a house to pay. I got like that's the problem now is it's like, oh, I can become a little lazier because I do have kind of steady work at the moment. So it makes, you know, the you know, I still want to do this for the art. But this is show business. The business part is still I got to think about that too.
Right. No, absolutely. Um, what do you hate most about being on set, or what has been one of the worst
Downtime.
things? Downtime.
Downtime and driving to whatever location, because again, I'm just outside of the city, and if you're shooting is parking. I hate parking. Like on set, it's hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. They're always worried we're not gonna have the makeup done on time, so we have it done early. When they want it done, it's sometimes done too early. Like it all sounds stupid, but it's really just, I just want to work, like that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Stay busy
So
on
it's
set.
always downtime and whatever travel things. When I get to work, it's a great day. Like we have fun. I mean, I work with a bunch of dudes that we could talk monsters, puppets, weird things all day long, movies we liked or didn't like. So it's a very, very like good time at work. So it's all the stuff around it.
Those deadlines on set, somebody says, "Hey, man, we're hoping to shoot this as soon as it gets dark. We need to start filming this scene right here." You run into those issues, man,
I'm
where
all time. It's everyone else that's it's never my fault. I got it ready before the sun either comes up or goes down.
that guy don't have the camera loaded and correctly yet. And it's telling you what time
Or
you
now
need
we
to get.
have to rehearse when we should have done that before we even put him in makeup. But there's a whole other
Yeah,
listen, yeah, I mean, everybody on a set is better than the director directing at one moment or a time because they'll be like, hey, I would have done it this way. Everyone could be the what is that, the armchair quarterback. So yeah, like we all can say, like, oh, I would have done this way differently. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you ask anyone in the makeup department, we could set a schedule better than any AD. But
that's
of course, it's only catering to us. So like that's
right. Well, not everybody in the special effects man works like that. I've seen some crazy stuff behind the scenes where you pray for a team like that, man. And that's where you get somebody in there that loves the craft, loves the job. I think a lot of people have taken it on thinking they're just gonna, just hit it big because they're good. And
I mean,
it,
that world doesn't
it is
exist anymore because
right.
you know when I grew up, again, it was that Fangoria magazine, like, but makeup artists were rock stars, at least for me, in my little film world. So that's not the case anymore. I mean, we're just, also when you realize that like there's a whole team behind those guys that were the rock stars too. And I think that's like naively when I was a kid, I was like, oh, this guy's great. But he had a shop of people, so you learn about that. And, also there's always going to be someone that's great and better. I just want to be working. I want
Yeah.
to be, because again, I can't do any other job. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm stuck. I'm this far in. It's got to work out somehow.
Yeah. You've been doing this for a long time now. Is there anybody that's a special effects makeup artist? I know you mentioned name earlier. That is just somebody that you've been in awe with your entire career.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's literally, I mean, the list could go on and on and on. Rob Bottin, Steve Johnson, KMB, Rick Baker. I mean, what Rick Baker's doing on Instagram after he retired is mind blowing. But
Yeah.
everybody like that, the list, but it's also all those guys that do what I do. They clean out a mold, they prep paint, they work for other people and like, still get to go do their own thing. There's a million any working makeup artist I admire. Like, I mean, truth be told, like that's the thing. It's it sounds cheesy, but there's a team there that it takes to pull all this off. I'm amazed by I can't do any like robotics or anything like that. So anybody that can do animatronics blows me away.
Yeah.
I
No, I,
can't talk about it, but I was involved in a big puppet where we got to assist in puppeteering. I barely did anything, but just to see all these rigs and all these high-end things, that was like amazing,
whole
mind-blowing.
different animal. Yeah. I was gonna say, is it Evil Dead 2? Is there a movie special effects wise that is just beyond remarkable to you? Is that one of them
Yeah, I
or
mean,
the
The Thing,
one?
of course, yeah, The Thing, like, I mean, I thought, Slither not too long ago was, excellent. There's a like, I think there's a million movies again that inspire, like, but Evil Dead, yeah, I mean, I love that movie. I mean, that's a movie I wish I could have worked on, if I that would have been I love that movie.
What about the Blob, man? I
Oh,
revisited the
I
Blob
love The Blob,
a
yeah,
few
that's
nights
another
ago.
movie that I can watch every day in the background in the shop.
Same, same. Yeah, I watched, of course, I watched the 1988 one, and people were like, "Man, you gotta see the one from the '50s." I'm like, "No, this one from
Yeah, I mean, come
1988 is
on, Kevin
incredible."
Bacon with a weave, you're not Kevin Dillon with a weave, I mean, come on, that's amazing.
Yeah, great, great film. What about highlights in your career, man? What is something that a very proud moment, something you'll never forget, something at this point right now is like, that's a trophy moment.
I mean, I've got to work with a lot of those guys that I with in Fangoria. I met Bob Kurtzman. I got to work alongside him. Joel Harlow, an Oscar-winning makeup artist. Kevin Wassner was a makeup artist on The Walking Dead for years. I got to work with him, and just watch these guys work. I got to do a couple episodes of the latest Walking Dead, which was a highlight. I got to have. I've been in Fangoria a bunch of times, but then got the cover. The werewolf we got had the cover. The Wolfman, like all that. Like, I mean, it's been a pretty good, run.
Big
Like,
one. That's a big one.
you know, it's just and that I get to work on cool jobs all the time. Get to work with interesting people. Um, yeah, like I mean, every dream I ever had, I've fulfilled. You know what I mean? Like just the first time just having my name in a Fangoria was a big deal. And then, to getting a bigger stories, like it's been cool. Like I have a very simple, achievement goals. Like so like having movies come out, having movies well reviewed that I worked on, getting singled out in reviews for the movies. That's like really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the mutilation stuff that I seen with you, man. I forget I forget the name of the film. Um, I seen something and I was just like, man, that is just good work.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
I'll leave a
again,
comment.
I always it's hard to watch movies that I worked on because I'll critique everything.
Right.
That's just the nature of our business. And if you're not critiquing it, means, like at least I could, I still want to do better. And that's the thing, I'm really proud of being able to pull some of the things off we've pulled off. And getting to work with you know, qualified people that are like really into like making my gags look as good as I can make them, making the makeups look as good as we can. So it's been, I mean, I've had a lot of highlights, like a lot. I can't. I love my
Sounds like
job.
a lot to me.
Yeah, like I love my job. I'm very lucky. Like,
Yeah.
and like I said, I bitch every day at work, but I still love my job.
That's interesting, man. But that's awesome too. I love it, dude. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of accomplishments, brother, and you do phenomenal work, and that's why I want to interview you because I'm like, I seen that and it made me go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, whoa, he did that, and now of course I haven't seen Blackout. I want to see it now because
Yeah,
I want to
I
see
think
what
it's
the
out in
effects are
the
like.
beginning of
Not even
April.
just
April,
the
it'll be
movie.
out on VOD. I think
What
April 12th.
what is it?
It'll be out on VOD on April 12th.
Oh, okay. And anything else coming out that we can look forward to?
I am the last part of the latest season of the Hamptons American Horror Story. We did a bunch of those. I had a bunch of I contributed to a bunch of walkers on the latest Rick and Michonne spinoff, the latest walk, what is it? The Ones Who Live. So yeah, I've got all that kind of stuff. Movie wise, I can't talk about anything that's coming out yet.
Understand.
Or, I just wrapped some really cool stuff and I'm just starting a new TV show that I'm really excited about. So yeah, like we have some cool stuff. I've been very fortunate enough to work alongside some really good people in New York and New Jersey. So, and they brought me on. I've got to do a lot of cool shows. So that's been a whole other world. So I'm very excited about all that.
One more question. What's the lowest budget you've ever had to work with with special effects makeup on a movie?
On a movie? I mean, I don't.
And you don't have to disclose what movie. I'm just curious, man. I've seen what people can do with bare bones. I had to do it in the beginning myself.
I mean, again, I've done movies, for a handshake and favors for people. Especially the more you start out, the earlier in your career. I mean, it's not even about the budget. Usually, like, it's a materials thing, so it all depends
Right.
on what you have. Have I done a movie for $100? Yeah, but it was probably I walked in with a palette and some colors, and was able to whip something up. It depended, what they needed. But I mean, I'm in no way like I just did a student film
Mhm.
to help out somebody, like, sure, did I get a little bit of money? Yeah. I mean, was it anywhere near what I would have gotten on any other thing? But I could understand this kid just needed some help.
Right.
So that was, I've done that. Like, it's never about also, I think any artist will tell you this. Sometimes it's never about the budget, it's about what we're doing. If
Mhm.
I've done it already, I might not be as interested in going that low. If it's something I've never done, I might be more interested. I mean, that's how we all choose a project based on, like, again, I will turn down a job like that might be steadier work, like, oh, I'm going to go do, for instance, I did have a thing where the strike came up. And if I took movie A, I would have worked longer and made more money. But, the other job I was going to get to do a little more cooler stuff. So I
Yeah.
took that job. I took job B because, A, for the wallet would have been way better. And it would have been a great job too. I'm not knocking him. I got my buddy that got the job. He said it was the best summer job he ever had. Like, it was so good. It was so good.
That's
But
all.
that being said, I went with the one where I was gonna have to work a little harder, but it was a shorter amount of time, but and a very much of a run and gun type movie, so, and I got to be more involved, I guess.
Yeah, seeing your work on screen, man, it's got to be so rewarding. I mean, I know from writing it to seeing it come alive is just it's a moment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, I mean, I love it. You know, you get critical. It's hard to watch that movie. You watch it the first time, and then the second time, you're like, oh, I was right here when this was. Like, you do get taken out of your
I think
movies the
we
more times
might
you
have lost.
see them. Did you lose me?
I think I lost you just for a second there, but you
Oh.
came back in pretty quick. You said
But
something
yeah,
about
so it's like we get you do get lost in the movies you work on, and it is like an amazing thing to see. I have a niece and nephew, so getting to share some of that stuff with them has been really cool. So, I mean, I dig it.
yeah.
I mean, again, I'm a Fangoria kid, so like seeing the evolution of I grew up looking at all those things, and now I get to do those things, and that's kind of cool.
That is really cool, man. Is there anything you'd like to tell people about before we depart from each other here?
Oh
Anything you got
man,
coming
just
up? Or
keep watching movies.
heck yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, Brian. Seriously, man, you do awesome stuff. Can't wait to see what else you do. And you got so much stuff out there I haven't seen yet. I can't wait
I
to check it
appreciate
out.
that.
So, yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you doing the interview. Just hold on for a second here.
Yeah,
Guys, you can check this gentleman out on Instagram. That's where I found him. He's got some of his work up there, but he's also got a website. I'll leave that in the description below.
it's probably not a working website, so that's probably a mistake on my part.
Don't check the website. Scratch what I just said. But
Instagram is the best place to find me.
and I'm sure IMDb, they can probably
Yeah.
find you. Yeah. So IMDb is the best way to always go. But definitely go down the rabbit hole, man. Check out some of the stuff he's done. Phenomenal work. So this is the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean. We'll see you guys here in a few days. But until then, sweet nightmares.